In 2025, Raoul Paul says there's only one market left with true 100x potential. It's an opportunity so big he believes it hasn't existed in decades and still almost no one sees it. But no, it's not artificial intelligence, it's crypto. Raoul argues we're standing at the start of the largest wealth shift of our lifetime, powered by a new system of digital ownership growing even faster than the internet at its peak. What makes it so powerful is access. Anyone, anywhere can now own a piece of the same global network once reserved for institutions and the rich. Nearly 1 billion people are already part of it, using it to build savings, send money, and escape inflation. Yet the opportunity is still early, still misunderstood, and still wide open. In this video, we break down why Raoul Paul believes crypto is still a 100x opportunity, how small investors can take advantage of it, and why the next few years could redefine what wealth looks like in the digital age. And before we jump into it, just a quick reminder, only a small percentage of you watching are actually subscribed. If you're getting value from the videos, hit that subscribe button. It's free, it supports the channel, and you can always change your mind later. Now, let's hear directly from Raoul in his latest interview, explaining why he still believes crypto is a 100x opportunity.
I've seen people go from 10 grand to a millionaire in less than a year in this space. Now, you're taking obscene risks in something that's probably most likely to go to zero. But, you know, on a balance of things, I think it's very possible to do it. You know, if you can scrape $10,000 together and invest it not so riskily, you'll do that easily. I think it's a 100x return.
Raoul Paul has seen people turn $10,000 into $1 million in less than a year, and it's not luck, it is understanding how exponential markets work and staying long enough for compounding to take effect. Crypto's design makes this possible. Anyone can buy a fraction, hold through volatility, and build wealth the same way institutions do. Demand is rising and adoption is accelerating across the world. This window won't stay open forever, but it's still here for those who act early and stay patient. Now, let's learn why this opportunity is truly global.
Basically, you had to buy. I remember when Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's famous company, used to have a share price of whatever, X $100,000, and nobody could buy it. And he had to have a second version of the share that was cheaper, like a tenth, so people could buy it. So you couldn't fractionalize anything. And sure, Robinhood and people have experimented with fractionalization, but crypto was the thing. Like, you could buy a minuscule amount of it. Because I think even within its design, it was realized if it does work, it's going to go to 1 million or 5 million. And you can't price people out of it. It has to be the system that everybody can afford. And this is not just a United States thing. I mean, crypto is literally unfucking people's futures, from people in the rice fields in the Philippines to South America to Europe, all over the world. This is the 600 million users. No more. It's like 900 million users by the end of this year. And so what you're doing is changing the outcomes for people, where it doesn't just have to be the rich. Sure, the rich can buy this too, but everybody's on an equal footing. So if you go back to that, so let's think of an apartment in Fifth Avenue. It goes up more than other apartments in New York because it's scarce and it's in the right spot. Who can afford it? Nobody, except the very, very, very rich. But the house that you buy in the middle of Ohio doesn't go up. Why? Because rich people don't want to live there, and you can build infinite number of houses in the middle of Ohio. So it becomes an issue. So the rich people own all of these assets. The Berkshire Hathaway share, before they made it smaller, well, only rich people can afford it. But here you've got an asset where everybody can put in 10% of their savings.
Raoul Paul notes that the power of crypto lies in its accessibility. For the first time in history, anyone can own a share of a financial system designed to grow with the world, not against it. He compares it to the early days of Berkshire Hathaway, when only the wealthy could afford a single share. There was no fractional ownership, no way for ordinary people to participate. Crypto changed that. You can now own a fraction of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana without barriers. Whether you have $10 or 10,000, you are part of the same network as billionaires and institutions. This is what Raoul calls the great financial equalizer. The ability to fractionalize wealth creation means opportunity is no longer restricted to geography or class. He often mentions people from the Philippines, South America, and across Africa who are using crypto to protect savings, send money, and escape inflation. Global adoption is exploding, nearing 1 billion users, and every new participant strengthens the network. That level of growth mirrors the early internet, only faster and with direct financial impact. Traditional assets like real estate remain trapped behind borders, regulations, and cost. A property in New York or London will always be priced for the rich. Crypto breaks that model entirely. A person earning minimum wage can buy into the same system as a Wall Street fund, and their ownership carries the same weight. That democratization of access is what makes this opportunity unique. The rich can still buy more, but they cannot gatekeep it. Raoul sees this inclusivity as the beginning of a major global shift. Capital no longer flows just to those who already have it. It flows to users who contribute, secure, and expand the network. The next generation of wealth will not be inherited, it will be built through participation. The real question now is how to use this chance wisely. How can an ordinary person turn small, consistent investments into lasting wealth in a system growing this fast? That's what Raoul breaks down next. And if you want to stay ahead of these signals and know exactly when the market's heating up or when it's giving you those rare buying windows, I break it down every day in the Crypto Nutshell, my free 5-minute daily crypto newsletter. It's built to give you quick, actionable insights so you can make smarter decisions without spending hours buried in charts or headlines. You'll get clear signals on when to buy, when to take profits, and the latest news that could move markets, all delivered straight to your inbox. Just click the first link in the description, enter your email, and you're in. Now, let's go back to the video.
It's actually pretty hard to build a business that grows at 145% a year, every single year.
True.
And I've realized that. I mean, I've got friends of mine who discovered Bitcoin back in 2011, 2012. They've never done anything again. And they're like, people come to me for investments. They're like, show me that it's actually going to do better. I said, do you not build a business? They said, what's the fucking point?
If I didn't sell, I wouldn't have to be doing business right now.
So that's my point, right? That is my point. And if I hadn't sold when I first bought it, I wouldn't have to do anything ever again either. And we can do it because we choose to. My general theory behind this is if you don't have much savings and you're young, put all of your savings into this. And I know that sounds obscene, but this is the only way. So put as much as you can in. If you're building a business, invest in yourself too. Okay, great. So anybody under the age of 30, just go for it. Just don't screw up by buying stupid meme tokens and expect it to 1000x. Sure, you can play around with 10% of your money. Just keep it in like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Sui, these kind of big networks, and just let it compound, let it do its thing. Don't trade it, don't do anything. Just keep buying over time. It's called dollar cost average. Every month, add a bit more in. And then you can play around with some other stuff because it's fun, and that's okay. You can invest in yourself, and if you then start generating more cash flow, then you put more money in. Okay, that's a decent idea. So the game becomes how much can you grow your wages? Can you trade up your job? Can you do a second job to invest as much as possible? As you get older, and we're seeing this now with the millennials, they're all kind of in their mid to late 30s. Okay, they've now got, the big problem is they need to buy a house, they're getting married, and they're having kids. And they realize they don't have the savings for it. So there's a sense of urgency in that group of people. Is like, fuck, we've really got to sort ourselves out. And so they are trying to figure this out. So, we saw them start discovering financial markets in a big way from COVID onwards as they're trying to figure this out.
Raoul Paul often reminds people that building wealth through crypto is not about chasing quick profits. It's about time and discipline. Even the best run businesses struggle to grow at 145% a year. Bitcoin and Ethereum have done that repeatedly, and that is why many of his friends who discovered Bitcoin early have not needed to work again. They stayed invested, ignored short-term noise, and let adoption do the work. He explains that if you are young and have limited savings, this is still the best path forward. Use your savings to accumulate assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Sui. Add to them gradually. Avoid speculation on meme tokens or risky projects. The key is to focus on the large networks that already have traction. For those who earn regular income, he suggests saving a fixed amount every month and using dollar cost averaging to build long-term positions. It removes emotion and allows time to work in your favor. Raoul emphasizes that this strategy is not about luck or prediction, it is about consistency. The market rewards those who build conviction and act patiently. Over the years, the people who treat crypto as digital property have seen the best results. They are not trying to time every cycle, they are building ownership in systems that grow stronger each year. He also points out that income growth matters. As people improve their skills, find better jobs, or start side projects, they can direct more money toward long-term savings. Crypto offers a scalable way to do that without relying on traditional gatekeepers. It allows individuals to grow wealth independently of institutions. What Raul Paul explains next challenges one of the biggest financial myths of modern times, and it's the illusion of passive income and why it fails compared to digital ownership.
It's one of the things that really pisses me off is there is a massive online TikTok and probably Instagram trend, which is passive income. It's like this, we all want passive income. There's no such thing as passive income. I've owned many properties in my life. I've had rental properties and houses I live in. They are all a sucking of costs and time. There's always something breaking. There's always something wrong. Your tenants leave. They leave you on the lurch. They've trashed the place. You've got to redecorate it. You're not getting rent. Before you know it, you've got the mortgage payments to make. And how much money do you really, can you beat the 145% a year? Or the 100% a year? Or the 50% a year? No. So here we've got this digital property. There's only 21 million, so it's scarce. Why would you bother? You can make one investment and go to the beach and do nothing. Versus, I need to go and borrow money from the bank, hope the economic system keeps me afloat, hope I keep my job so I can pay the mortgage payments, hope the other one on the first property, I hope the other one, the payments the tenants can keep in their job, I hope, okay, great. Maybe you think you've sorted that out. Next thing that happens is everyone starts working from home and not the office. So they're leaving the city and you've suddenly got 5 apartments in a city and nobody wants to go to the city. Now what do? You can't sell them either. So you don't know. So the people who all bought office real estate, they're like, obviously companies, I just rented to them. They're brilliant. They always pay the bill. Well, everyone's working from home. Fucking real estate's empty everywhere. You still run a lot of risk, but you don't get the returns you can from investing in crypto.
Raoul Paul is blunt about the idea of passive income. He believes it does not exist. Every supposed source of it still demands time, maintenance, or stress. Real estate is his favorite example. It looks like a stable long-term play, but behind the scenes it consumes time and money. Properties break, tenants leave, repairs pile up, and mortgage payments never stop. Even when everything goes right, the returns rarely match what crypto can deliver in a strong cycle. He describes traditional assets as slow, expensive, and vulnerable to changing trends. A person who buys 5 apartments in a busy city might think the rent checks will keep coming. Then the world changes. People start working remotely, office buildings empty out, urban demand drops, and those same properties become liabilities. This happened across major cities after 2020 when commercial real estate collapsed in value. The supposed passive asset quickly turned into a burden. Crypto flips that model on its head. There are no walls to repair, no tenants to chase, and no market dependent on a single location. Bitcoin and Ethereum represent digital property that anyone can own and store securely. They do not require banks, brokers, or constant management. The supply is fixed, the networks operate 24 hours a day, and the potential returns far exceed what traditional real estate or dividend stocks can provide. Raoul sees this shift as the clearest sign that the definition of wealth is changing. The richest people in the next decade may not own buildings or companies. They will own digital property that appreciates as adoption expands. That is why he considers crypto not a side bet, but the main engine of modern wealth creation. He closes this point with a reminder that the new economy rewards participation, not passivity. Those who learn, invest, and hold with conviction are building assets that work around the clock, even while they sleep. Lastly, he turns his attention to something more personal, how lifestyle choices and location can amplify the impact of this strategy.
But I'm wondering if I might as well just get a salaried job, take all the profits from it, and put it into Bitcoin, if that would likely yield a higher return. And if business is kind of dead compared to just investing your salary into Bitcoin.
You just hold the Bitcoin on your balance sheet in the business. And we're seeing the rise of that too. So you just use your business as your private savings vehicle because you're actually accumulating wealth in your business as you grow it because you own shares. So why not just say, well, as opposed to if I don't need the money right now, if I can just take what I need to live and do this to cover my costs, well, then why don't I just have a savings account within my business, which is my cash balance, and I invested in crypto? Okay, that's kind of interesting. The other thing, there's many arbitrages in this whole equation. One of them is quality of life. What do we work for? Actually, in the end, yes, sure, there's status and, first you've got the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The bottom rung is you need, food, shelter, health, the basic things. And then after that, it actually comes more down to ego and that kind of stuff. But if you want to cover the bottom tier of that, your food, your shelter, but have a quality of life, people don't realize that they can just move. I figured this out. When I was living in London, it was expensive, I was stressed, it was busy. I moved to Spain, and for the price of a 3-bedroom apartment in a relatively nice part of London, I bought a 5-6-bedroom house on 10 acres near the beach on the side of a mountain in a national park. It's like, oh my God, the sun shines, 300 days a year, and taxes were lower, and the restaurants were half the price of London, maybe a third of the price. So suddenly, on much less money, you're living like a god.
Raoul Paul often notes that wealth is not only about money, it is also about how and where you live. He explains that one of the most overlooked advantages in life is the ability to move. Location can completely change a person's quality of life, even without increasing income. When he lived in London, he worked long hours, paid high taxes, and faced constant pressure from the cost of living. Then he moved to Spain. For the same price as a modest apartment in London, he found a large home on land near the beach with sunlight most of the year. Food, rent, and taxes were all cheaper. Life became calmer. This idea of lifestyle arbitrage connects directly to how people use crypto. By holding assets that appreciate globally, you can live almost anywhere while maintaining or improving your standard of living. Someone earning in Bitcoin or stablecoins can choose to reside in a country where expenses are lower, letting every dollar or Satoshi stretch further. Digital wealth makes borders less restrictive. Raoul calls this the new version of financial freedom, having both capital mobility and physical freedom at the same time. He also highlights that many people overlook this flexibility because they are stuck in old systems. They build careers tied to specific locations or rely on banks that limit movement of funds. Crypto removes that. It gives people a portable balance sheet that can follow them anywhere. You can live near a beach, in the mountains, or in a small city, all while holding a global asset that keeps growing in value. For Raoul, this is the real endgame of financial independence. It's not just about stacking wealth, it's about designing a life where you have time, peace, and control. Money in the bank loses value. Digital property, by contrast, holds purchasing power and opens doors that traditional finance keeps closed. The world is moving toward this reality fast. Those who understand it now will live not only richer, but freer in every sense of the word. Anyway, guys, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.